Whenever I'm getting ready to do a through hike, I get a lot of questions about my gear. What am I taking? What am I leaving home? What am I upgrading? What might be new in my pack? I'm going to share all that with you right now. I'm going to start by sharing a little secret about gear lists that some people might not realize, although some of you might just assume that it's true. This is Oliver. He's the latest addition to our family. He's a sweet boy. A lot of people, when they're sharing their gear lists on places like Lighter Pack or YouTube videos, and they're talking about their 10-pound base weight and bragging about being ultralight, that's a goal. A lot of us want to get as light as possible, but I've studied those in great detail, and there are quite frequently things that people leave out. They don't count them in the list. Now, if you have not heard of the term base weight, or maybe you've heard of it and you don't know exactly how it's calculated, your base weight is basically everything in your pack, and I include the pack itself, except for things that are consumable. So your base weight does not include the clothes that you are wearing. It does not include your fuel, your food, your water, things like that that are going to be consumed because the weight of those things changes. All of your gear, your cook gear, your sleep system, your tent, that all goes into the base weight. And I actually count every single thing in my pack. I could tell you down to the gram what a Q-tip weighs. That might sound a little bit obsessive, but I have developed a spreadsheet that I use for my gear for every trip that I have coming up. And all of the gear I own is in there, so it is really easy for me to just go through and check off I'm taking one of these or two of these and whatever it might be. And then down at the bottom, I can get a calculation that shows me either what my base weight is or what my total pack weight is with my expected food and water. So when I am sharing with you the details of what's in my pack and telling you what they weigh and what my total base weight is, I can guarantee you that that is absolutely accurate. It's not ultralight, it's not sub 10 pounds, but it is a base weight that I feel very comfortable with. I am light enough that when I am hiking, and I have a pack that fits me very well, so I almost kind of forget that I'm carrying my pack, but at the same time, I have everything I need. And I've worked very, very hard to trim some things out of my pack, things that I really didn't truly need, in order to bring in some things that might be extras, like little kind of luxury items that we talk about. So today I'm going to show you everything that I've got in my pack, and if you have any questions, feel free to just drop a comment down below and let me know what you're curious about. So I decided I'm going to do two versions of this video. The first one is just going to be short and sweet, basically an overview of everything I'm taking. The second one is going to be full detail, and I will share with you not only what I'm carrying, but things like how long I've had it, how I feel it performs, and all that good information if you really want to dive deep into the gear list. I'm going to share everything in my pack based on systems. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my food and cooking system. For this particular trip, I'm going to be using my 𝐒𝐻𝑡𝐢𝐻. This is reflective tape that I've added on here so I can see it at night. And basically an 𝐒𝐻𝑡𝐢𝐻 just ties to a tree. So it's a little bit heavier than a typical food bag, but I don't have to worry about a bear hang, which is one of my least favorite camp chores. And I also don't necessarily need a bear vault or bear canister on this Foothills trail through hike. So I've decided to kind of go with the middle of the road option, which is the 𝐒𝐻𝑡𝐢𝐻. And I'll put all the specs for each item down in the corner so you can see them. The food that I'm carrying is going to be stored mostly in Ziploc bags, and that food is not included in the base weight, but I did want to show you that I use smelly-proof bags as well inside the 𝐒𝐻𝑡𝐢𝐻 so that there are no odors available to curious bears. These smelly bags, you can get them online. They sell them at REI and other places, but they're a great way to keep the odors out. So typically I will repack my food and then put it inside of the smelly bags just to make sure that there are no issues. My toiletries get stored in one of these as well. For my cook system, I have a really nice compact solution. This is a 𝐒𝐻𝐢𝐻 550 milliliter pot. It's got little handles and even a thumb hole. And in case you're curious, 𝐒𝐻𝐻 is a women-owned company. Inside, I don't put my fuel in here. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I just carry all my little cook doodads in here. I've got a lighter, which is always essential. I do carry a few extra matches, emergency matches, in case my lighter doesn't work. I'm trying out a different stove this time. This one is by 𝐒𝐻𝐻. In the past, I have used an MSR Pocket Rocket, and also my last trip on the Tahoe Rim Trail, I used a 𝐂𝐻𝐻𝐬 super light stove. This is even lighter than that. I think it might weigh a little bit more than a BRS. I did read some reviews before I purchased it, and a few people were saying they felt like the temperature control on it, the control here, was a little fickle, but I tested it the other day and I didn't feel like it was any different than the other two stoves I have. You just have to be careful and do subtle adjustments, and it seems to work fine. It folds out by just flipping the edges here, and this is at a very affordable price point. It's really a good deal if you're looking for a backpacking stove that doesn't break the bank, and I will let you know after this trip how that compared to the other stoves that I own. I also keep my bandana in here. I use this kind of as a hot mat to pick up my pot, to wipe up any crumbs or anything like that. If I rinse out my pot, I'll dry it out with this. It can be a placemat on my lap to keep up crumbs and that sort of stuff, but it's definitely handy to have a bandana. This is a 𝐒𝐡𝐢𝐬 titanium spoon. It has a polished bowl, which is game changer if you haven't tried one, and also the long handle is convenient because if you're doing rehydrated, freeze-dried type meals and you're eating out of a bag, this is a good way to keep your hands clean instead of having to dig all the way down in there. For water, I am using the 𝐂𝐡𝐢𝐬 Be-Free filter system. This is just a soft bag and then a filter that you can buy together or separately if you need to replace the filter. These are screaming fast when you first get them, but they do slow down over time. I just recently cleaned my filter and it is so much faster now. I just soaked it in some warm water and rinsed it real well, and it's a lot faster than it used to be. On the Foothills Trail, there is a lot of water. Normally I carry 2 1-liter smart water bottles, and I also usually carry a smaller bottle, 750 or 700 milliliters in the pocket on my pack. I have a hose with a bite valve that can go down into that bottle and I can just drink here. If you want to make one of these, they are super easy. This is an Osprey bite valve. You can buy that in REI or online. Lots of places that you can get that. And then this is just refrigerator water hose that you can buy at Home Depot or other home improvement stores. The lid here is a typical smart water lid, but I have scraped out just the lip inside so that it fits snugly here on the hose. And that's all there is to it if you want to make your own. My tent for this trip and most every trip I've done in recent memory is the 𝐸 𝐸 Pro 1. I got this tent when it first came out. I liked it. I liked the 1 pound weight, which is awesome, but there were some quirks that I wasn't real happy with. I did a full review video that you can see up here if you're curious. I know that since then 𝐸 has made some improvements and adjustments to this tent, so I would love to get my hands on a newer version, but it's not in the budget right now. So I'm going to continue to rock this one. I do have a Nemo Hornet 2-person tent that I could take, but I find that when it's cool, especially when it's humid, that having a smaller tent is actually warmer because you don't have to warm it up with your body weight. There's a lot more space in a 2-person tent that you would need to warm up to stay warm at night. And when I sleep in this tent, I feel very comfortable, and overall I've been really happy with it. Along with the tent, I have a homemade footprint. This is polycro. You can buy this at Ace Hardware or other home improvement stores as window film. It's like the shrink film that people use to winterize their windows, and you can make one of these very easily. And it adds a little extra protection without a lot of extra weight, so it's something that I feel like is worth carrying. My tent stakes are little shepherd's hook stakes. There's 6 of these. They're very, very light. They can bend a little bit if you're trying to use them in rocky soil, and sometimes I do carry a couple of extra triangular stakes like this one, whether they're MSR groundhogs, which are great tent stakes, or these are from my Nemo tent. It's always nice to have a couple of extra stakes in case you lose one or you have issues with the ground that you're trying to stake your tent in. But I'm going to leave these home because I'm only doing 77 miles and I'm pretty sure that these little titanium ones will be just fine. I carry a small pack towel. It's ultra absorbent, so if I'm doing a longer hike where I'm going to be in town, this can dry my whole body. I won't need it for that, but I do use it in my tent when I wake up in the morning if there's a lot of condensation inside the tent, or if it's damp outside from dew or rain, I can wipe it down before I pack it up. It makes it a little bit lighter as I hike, but then also it makes it a lot drier when I get to camp at night and get ready to set up. I'm not setting up a soaking wet tent. I like to have a sit pad, something I can drop down on, especially if it's wet and muddy, to take a break. If I'm sitting on a log that's kind of gross, or even a picnic table, sometimes the seats are awfully wet and dirty. So I carry a little piece of Tyvek. This is a brand new one, and I just washed it to make it softer and less crinkly. I use that as my kind of sit-upon, and then I also use it outside my tent. I just spread it out like this. And it's a great landing pad for things outside the tent. Keeps my gear clean, keeps less dirt from coming inside the tent. So it's a very handy thing to have. And this piece only weighs about 33 grams, so it's super light. For my sleep system, I am using a Thermarest pad. This is the one that a lot of people call the Pringles pad because it crinkles, but they have definitely gotten better over the past few years. It's got, I believe, a 4.2 R value. I'll put that down there. It's a little bit cooler than the Thermarest X-Therm, which I love. I also have that, and I kind of went back and forth as far as which one to take. This one is slightly lighter, and I think for the weather conditions of where I'm going to be, this is going to be just fine. As a concession to being an older backpacker, I'm turning 60 this year, I got myself a little flex tail pump because I just get tired of blowing up my pump at night. So I'm going to give this one a shot, see how well it works. All I need to carry is the little pump and the adapter so that it fits. It can inflate and deflate my pad. I've never used one before, although my friend Gunslinger had one on the Tahoe Rim Trail last year and I was kind of envious. It would take her just a couple minutes to blow up her sleeping pad using the pump while I was huffing and puffing away after a long day of hiking, and so I decided during that trek that I wanted to give this one a shot. Another item that is new for me for this trip is this silk blend liner from Sea to Summit. I have used a silk liner for many years. My most recent one is from Rab and I really liked it. Silk is fine and lightweight, which is actually a positive thing, but at the same time, after many trips, it starts to get worn and seams can tear. So I was due for a new one. This one was a freebie, so that was really nice. Many thanks to the person that gave it to me, and I am looking forward to trying it. And then as far as my pillow, I have been using an Amazon pillow for my past few trips. I had the Sea to Summit one that I also like. It's rectangular like a pillow from home, and it's got a layer of down in the top, so that's nice. But one thing I don't like about this, and part of the reason that I got the Amazon pillow, is that I wanted something softer, closer to my skin. I didn't want to just lay my face right on this because it does have a bit of a plasticky feel. So I had made quite a long time ago this little pillow cover. It's made out of silk as well. And I'm going to just take this pillow and this cover and see how it does for me this trip. And then finally, I use a quilt instead of a sleeping bag. This is a custom quilt from Underground Quilts. When I was shopping for my gear for the Appalachian Trail, I did not have a lot of budget, and I was looking for things that were maybe a little bit less expensive than Enlightened Equipment, which I know makes excellent quilts. But this one has been a dream for me. It's also custom, so I was able to choose the colors, choose the level of down. I had them put a little extra down in the foot box, and it opens up completely, which is really nice. Snaps in the foot box. I can lay it out flat. I can lay on top of it if I'm hot, and I'm a really super active sleeper. I roll around a lot, so this is really much more flexible for me than a sleeping bag, and I have loved it. It's still going strong. It is rated by the company as a 20-degree quilt, but with the addition of the extra down, I'm guessing it's about a 17-degree quilt. The warmth level that you're going to get from a quilt or sleeping bag is also going to depend on what the ground feels like, what kind of pad you have, and some other considerations. And actually, I talked about that, how to sleep warm on the trail, in a video, which you can see up here. For safety, I carry a few small but essential items. I've got a Garmin InReach Mini that allows me to communicate. I can send satellite messages just to say I'm in camp if there's no cell service. And I've also used this in the past to communicate with shuttle drivers when I've needed to get off trail or when there have been other issues. And it gives me peace of mind, not just for myself, but carrying this, I know if I encounter somebody else on the trail who doesn't have one and is having an emergency, that I can reach out and help them get help. I wear a little road ID band, and this is connected to an online account. So if something does happen and it's a critical emergency, first responders can look up my account. They can see who my emergency contacts are, if I have any allergies or anything like that. So this is a very good thing to wear in conjunction with the InReach, because this is on my body. And if for some reason something happens, like I fell down a hill, God forbid, and I didn't have the InReach with me because maybe it was on my pack and I lost my pack, this is a nice secondary way to make sure that emergency responders have the information they need to help me out. This is a little teardrop thermometer, but sometimes you just want to know what the weather is like. So it's not necessarily an emergency item, but it is what I would consider a safety item. And then finally, I have a little tiny knife. This is a Gerber knife. I've had it for several years. It works really well. The weight of it is perfect, and I just keep it in my fanny pack for convenience in case I need to cut something. But then also in terms of safety, sometimes you just feel safer with a knife. Clothing is an area where it is really easy to carry more than you need, and it's a great way to trim your pack weight. I am going with tried and true items that are very lightweight. This is a Patagonia hiking tee that I've been using for years. I think this is my third or fourth one, actually. They wear really well, they clean well, they dry well, and they're a really good piece of gear if you want a super lightweight, cool, comfortable hiking shirt. With that, I am pairing Patagonia shorts. Incredibly lightweight fabric. They have a liner in them, so there's no need for undies. They're great if you want to just hop in a lake and go swimming. They will also dry off very, very quickly. And be good boy. Okay, be a good boy. For socks, I have a new pair of Balegas. I used to wear Smartwools, and I still love Smartwools, but these are really nice. They've got some silver infused in them, and that helps with the odors. A little bit of padding, just really, really comfortable, amazing socks. If you haven't tried Balega, give them a shot, check them out. Underneath those, I'm going to wear 𝐒𝐮𝐩𝐸 liners. These are my go-to tried and true secret to preventing blisters. There are socks now you can buy, like a right sock that has 2 layers, which is the same concept, but basically when you're wearing these and wearing socks, then the friction happens between the socks and not the fabric in your foot. So that's going to greatly reduce the incidence of blisters if that's a problem for you. For hiking shoes, I'm going to be wearing a pair of La Sportiva 𝐒𝐻𝐲s that I have had for a while. The thing with hiking shoes is that they last maybe, 500 miles or so if you're lucky. And I have a lot of pairs of shoes that only have like 300 miles on them because I switch them out. So I'm going to go ahead and do 77 more miles on these, and then I might be ready to retire. But I really like these shoes. They have a great grip. They fit me very well because I have narrow feet, but they've got plenty of room in the toe box. So if you have feet like that, they might work for you. And then I do change out the insoles, and it took me a long time to find the right ones for me, but I use 𝐓𝐴𝐻𝐿 Total Support. These are the insoles that I use in all of my hiking shoes. To keep the sun off my hands, and I don't know, I grew up in Florida. You can see I call them 80-year-old hands, but lots of sunspots from not taking care. Now I'm pretty meticulous about that, and I'm just using a pair of really lightweight outdoor research sun gloves. I used to carry a pair of gloves to sleep in because my hands get cold. I've got Raynaud syndrome, which can give you kind of like stiffness and numbness in your fingers. And I learned through some experimentation that I don't need to carry those extra gloves because these also keep my hands warm at night if I want to sleep in them, if I'm just a little bit chilly. I wear these on the trail. They're really lightweight and cool, so I don't get hot when I'm wearing them, even if the weather's kind of hot and muggy, and it's a great way to protect my hands from additional sun damage. Underneath my hiking outfit, I am wearing a Nike sports bra. This is just a lightweight one without any padding. It's a great swim top, so if you are in an area where there are alpine lakes or other places to swim, that you can just jump in the water and not worry about whether they're going to dry quickly. If I'm in an area that is very sunny, and I did check with the Facebook group, it used to be a very, very shady trail, but because of recent storm damage from Helene and from ice storms, there's a lot more areas where there is sun exposure. And so I have this Astroman Air sun hoodie from Outdoor Research. I have been loving this for a few years now. Would love to get another one, but I don't really care for the colors that they have right now. So this is just lightweight, very windproof, very comfortable. You can layer under it or over it if you'd like to. It's got a nice hood on it, and it really works well to protect from sun, but also from wind. And I have a nice little lightweight ball cap. This is just, I think, from like TJ Maxx. I believe the brand is Layer 8. This is nice to wear under my rain jacket to keep the rain off my face, or sometimes I'll wear it under my sun hoodie just for an added layer of protection on my face. For sleeping, I have leggings, wool leggings on this trip. I like wool, especially when it's humid, because it does keep you warm even if you are damp or wet. So in the South, where it can be very humid and you might be chilly even at 50 degrees, so much different than Colorado, where I lived for a couple of years. That dry air is a lot more comfortable than the humid air that's along the Appalachian Trail and other areas. So I'm doing wool base layers because we might have nighttime temps in the 30s and 40s, and I know that wearing the wool leggings and then also this wool shirt that I have from North Face, those are both going to keep me warm and comfortable. This one I love because it's got kind of a long cut so it doesn't ride up, and it's also got thumb holes, which I think are pretty essential for keeping your hands warm at night. I also have some sleep socks from Farm to Feet. These are a little bit looser than a normal fit, and that is great to keep your feet warm. If you have trouble with your feet getting cold at night in camp, you're probably wearing socks that are a little bit too tight. You also want to have just a little bit of air around your feet inside the sock, and that will warm up and serve as an insulating layer. The little Melanzana beanie, I got this in Leadville, Colorado, when I got my Melly pullovers. They are a little too heavy for me to hike in, but this one is really lightweight. It's the same microgrid fabric that they use, and it's a wonderful way to keep my head warm at night. And if I need a mid layer, I have got this Mountain Hardwear Air Mesh fleece. It's a very lightweight option. A couple of alternatives would be that Melly that I mentioned, or a Patagonia R1, but this is about the lightest weight one that I have found, and it's very comfortable either to sleep in if it's cool or just to hang around in camp. If I need to start with a warmer layer on, then I will wear this instead of my puffy when I get hiking, and then take it off as soon as I warm up. Speaking of puffies, this is the tried and true Ghost Whisperer puffy from Mountain Hardwear. I bought this back in 2017 when I was getting ready to hike the Appalachian Trail. It has been repaired a couple times. I got a little too close to a heater, and you can't even tell. I sent it off to Mountain Hardwear and they repaired it for me. And if I didn't tell anybody, they wouldn't know that there was ever a big hole in the back. For rain gear, I have a jacket from Lightheart Gear that I've had for a few years. I find that I don't love rain jackets. I just tend to get wet and sticky no matter what, and every rain jacket is going to wet out eventually. This one does not pack into its own pocket, which I wish it did, but it does come with a little stuff sack you can use, or you just stick it in the back pocket of your backpack. Like most of my gear, it is very lightweight. It does have pit zips, which are handy to keep you cool. I typically only use this if it's going to be really, really wet, because most of the time I find that if I just hike and get a little bit damp, I dry off pretty quickly. So this is kind of it's going to be a really rainy day jacket. I debated taking my rain pants because it can be kind of changeable weather in the south in the spring, but the forecast is looking pretty good. I'm only a couple weeks out, so I'm confident that I can get by without the rain pants, but I do want some longer pants for the cooler mornings. So I'm taking this pair of joggers. They're little Patagonia joggers. I think Terrebonne is the model. They're very lightweight, less than 5 pounds for the pair. They break the wind, so they'll keep me a little bit warmer on a cooler morning. I could wear them over my shorts, or I could just wear them solo for hiking. Because they are so lightweight, I do need to be careful if I'm climbing over a lot of blowdowns and things like that. I don't want to tear these and ruin them, so I'm just going to have to be a little bit more cautious on those sections of the trail. But overall, I think these are going to be a really good pick, much more breathable than the rain pants would be. Most of the time when I'm on a thru hike, I take a little 𝐒𝐻 packable backpack to keep my clothes in. It's great when I need to go into town because I can take my clothes out of it, and I've got a day pack that I can put items in if I'm going out to resupply or whatever it might be. If I'm taking a 0 day and I want to run around town, I've got a nice little pack to do that with. But this trip, because it's so short and there's no resupply or town stops, I decided to go ahead and give my bag that I got from Hilltop Packs a shot. This is a dry bag, and they will print whatever you want on these things. So you may have seen some other people using these as food bags. That is really what this is designed for, but I haven't used it yet, and I wanted to use it on the trail. So it's going to go with me, and it's gonna hold my clothes instead of my food, since all my food is gonna be in the earth sack. And I really wanna thank the guys at Hilltop Packs for hooking me up with this. I actually got this one, and then I got Andy a smaller one as a Christmas gift. It was really neat to be able to put a photo of us on it for him. Check out Hilltop Packs if you have not heard of them, and I will let you know after the trip how this one performed for me. Now for some of the smaller things, which I think are very often items that get left off people's gear lists when they're calculating their base weight, I've got some electronics and a few other things to share with you. Since I do video, I use my phone. I don't carry a separate camera. I have an iPhone 13, and hopefully someday soon I'll be able to upgrade that as well. But I have a nice little 𝐒𝐻𝐫𝐭 tripod that can be used on a lot of different terrain. I've tried tripods with fixed feet, but this one is really flexible and gives me a lot of options. If I want to hang it off a tree or put it in some other weird place, I can make it work. And then I have a little Hollyland microphone set as well. I also have some other electronic items, things that most people carry, and this is a cute little Dyneema bag from All Man's Right that I got, I think, through Garage Grown Gear. That's a great website if you're not familiar with it. I had 2 of these battery banks from Nitecore. This is the older one, and unfortunately the newer one died on me while I was on the Tahoe Trail. Nitecore would not replace it because it was out of warranty. So I'm trying the new FlexTail ultralight power bank. I need to carry 2 of these to get me through that 7-day period that I'm going to be hiking without any ability to charge. So that one is on its way to me, and I will tell you more about it once I get it and actually when I use it. But I'll keep using this one. These are 10,000 milliamp hours each, and that should give me several charges for my iPhone and for my other gear as well, like my InReach Mini. And then for charging, I used to carry a lot of cables, and I went on this quest to reduce my weight of all my cables, and I found these really awesome little connectors. So I have a connector that will match everything that I need to charge, and they are all right here on this little short cable, and I've got a nice little Anker power bank that has the collapsible prongs and a lot of power. So I can charge up very quickly when I have the opportunity. Although I don't think that there's any place along the trail to charge, I'm going to go ahead and carry this just in case. If I need to get off trail, if I need to go to a hotel for any reason, anything like that, or even if I just want to charge up a little bit before I get going, I will have this with me. If you are interested in all of these connectors, including the one that fits my Garmin watch, I'll put the links down below so you can find those. I carry wire headphones instead of my Apple AirPods because I don't want to take a chance on losing them. If these should disappear, I'm not going to be heartbroken. And I mainly just use these at night when I'm in my tent if I want to listen to some music or watch a video or something before I go to sleep. Everybody's got to go, so we all carry things for that most natural thing on earth, even though some people are embarrassed to talk about it. I'm not. I carry a little pee funnel. This is awesome because it allows me to pee standing up without taking my pack off. So if I gotta go, and some mornings when you're hydrating a lot, you gotta go a lot, this is really handy. I also have a 𝐒𝐻𝐿 to wipe with. If you haven't heard of 𝐒𝐻𝐿, these are pretty neat. They've got some antimicrobial silver stuff infused in the back of it. Takes care of any germs. and then you just snap it up closed, hang it off your pack, and you're good to go. It reduces the need for toilet paper, which is nice. When you gotta go number 2, you wanna dig that lovely cat hole, and this little deuce of spades has been in my pack for a long time. I actually ended up buying another one to put in my day pack, because sometimes, you know, nature calls. So there are also lots of other little types of trowels. Since I work at an outfitter, I have played around with a lot of them, but this has been my favorite. So I stick with this one, and then I just carry a little baggie to put this in and some toilet paper. Now this is a consumable, so it wouldn't be needed to included in your base weight, but all this other stuff would. There are a few things that I carry in what I call my tent bag. This is the bag that I take out of my pack, I throw it in my tent, and it's got all the things that I really need. I usually have my electronics in here as well. I have a headlamp, and if I know I'm not going to be night hiking, then I just store it in here. This is the little night core headlamp that's ultra light. I carry some dry wipes. These are kind of like baby wipes, but they don't have any chemicals on them. If I'm kind of gross and muddy and sweaty, then I might just wet one of these and wipe some of that off me before I change into my sleep clothes so they don't get everything really dirty. I carry a little kit that's got some items in it, like some lamb's wool, some moleskin, bandages if I should need them, patch kit, tenacious tape, a lot of little odds and ends. There's a needle in here. I've got some Q-tips in here. Just little handy things that could scatter everywhere if I didn't keep them all together in a baggie, but they're nice to have in the tent bag. So if I do need any of them, I know right where I can find them. I am carrying a little bit of KT tape, rock tape, that sort of thing, so that I can tape my knee if it starts bothering me along the trek. I carry an emergency blanket because I was a Girl Scout and I always want to be prepared. This I have used when it's been really, really cold and I felt like I needed another layer of insulation either underneath me or on top of me. And like my InReach Mini, that gives me comfort knowing that if I come across somebody who's having an emergency, this is a wonderful thing to have if you find somebody who is in shock and they need to be wrapped up and protected until help can arrive. So just a few ounces, but lots of peace of mind. Earplugs, because you never know when you might be near somebody who's snoring or when the whippoorwills might be really loud. Tweezers, nail clippers, and an extra hair tie, just because things happen. I carry a comb, and I debated not taking this on this trip because I'm not going to be stopping anywhere that I can wash my hair, but I thought, you know what, if I do swim somewhere, I might want to comb it out. So I'm going to keep this in my kit. Along with some extra tent cord. You never know when you might need to tie something. You know, if something breaks on your pack or you just need to stake out your tent a little extra for high winds. It's nice to have that. So I just have a very small little bit, but enough to do the trick. And then finally, I carry a journal. I like to write every night about my day as I'm through hiking, and got these in a multi-pack off Amazon. They're a great size. I keep it in a Ziploc to protect it from water, and then I always carry a pen and maybe an extra pen. It's nice, and I find very relaxing to unwind a little bit by recounting my day in the journal, and I have over the years loved going back and reading those later. So doing a journal, not on my phone, not digital, completely analog approach is something that I thoroughly enjoy. My fanny pack is from Light AF. This is printed Dyneema. It's been great for me, but I have also put a lot of miles on this one, so might be looking for a new one soon. It is a great design because I can put my phone right here and have it readily accessible. I can grab it and take pictures whenever I want. And then inside there's a nice little pocket, and then I also carry little stickers that I can give people. So if you're watching and you see me on trail, ask me if I've got a sticker. I'd be happy to give you one. This is a great place to put things like lip balm. I use unscented lip balm with SPF in it to protect my lips, especially when it's very sunny. Carry just a little tiny bit of hand sanitizer and sunscreen so that I can reapply during the day. Usually also have some anti-chafe with me, and a couple other things like snacks. And I find this is a lot better than having hip belt pockets, but everybody feels differently about that. So you do whatever works for you, and I'll be rocking the fanny pack. So that is pretty much all of my gear, and I carry it all in a backpack that I've had for, I think, 5 years now. This pack is from SWD, Superior Wilderness Designs. It's a custom pack, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't have much of a hip belt. It's just webbing, no pockets. I can remove it if I want and attach my fanny pack, although I prefer to just use this as my hip belt and wear my fanny pack separately. And that way I can drop my pack and still walk around with my fanny pack if I need to. I have a couple pockets on the front to hold things like my phone or my tripod, my water bottle, and it's really a lovely pack, but sadly, it's starting to show its age. And I do admit that I am kind of hard on my packs. I'll take them off and drop them, you know, against a log, and sometimes that punches holes, you know, in things like the Lycra here. And I've even gotten a couple of holes recently up on this part of the pack, and I think that's because I've been carrying a bare canister, which is hard-sided, so if there's something hard inside and you rub up against something, you're more likely to tear that X-Pack fabric. So this is a cute little patch from No Sew Patches, and I've got a couple more. These are awesome, by the way, if you've not used one. These go on really well, they stick really well, so I need to clean my pack off. I didn't really clean it that well after my last trip. And then go ahead and I'm gonna put patches on these so that I don't get water in my pack. I do line my pack with a trash compactor bag. Every now and then I have to change that out, but the trash compactor bag, because it's thicker than a garbage bag, lasts a lot longer. It does weigh just a tad more, but it keeps everything dry inside. Even though this X-Pack is pretty waterproof and the seams are sealed in this pack, I like that extra layer of security so that my clothes don't get wet. And typically things like my quilt, I just stuff down inside unless I know it's going to be a really wet day. I do have a Dyneema dry bag for it, but I find things pack a lot better when I just smush that in the bottom, put everything on top. So this is a 40-liter pack. It carries everything I need. It's been really, really wonderful. And I hate to say that maybe this is his last trip. I don't know. I've been looking at some other options, like some of the brand new Alula packs. Mountain Hardware has one. Gossamer Gear has one. I don't know what I'm going to get. Part of that's a budget consideration. So we'll see how that works out. And I'll let you know if and when I do get a new pack. And I might even end up going back to Superior Wilderness Designs and asking them if, pretty please, they would make me this pack out of a newer material. So anyway, that is all my gear. Like I said, if you have any questions about what I'm carrying, where I got it, anything like that, how much it cost, how well it's worn, all that kind of stuff, feel free to drop those down in the comments and I'll get back to you. Now, with all that gear in my pack, you might think that I'm getting to kind of a heavy base weight, but I just tallied it all up and the total is 13.5 pounds, not including the clothes that I'll be wearing, not including my food and water or fuel, but everything else that's in my pack, that's what it adds up to. And I've worked really hard to get to this lower base weight. If you are trying to get to a lighter pack, some things that I can suggest would be taking some items out of your pack, switching out items for lighter versions, like clothing. You might have a wonderful fleece that you love, but it could weigh 12 ounces and you could switch it out for one that weighs considerably less than that. So all those little small choices make a difference. I kind of have the philosophy that everything weighs something, and when you add it all up, it can be a lot or little. So keep at it. If you're discouraged, don't worry, you'll get there eventually. And next time you see me, I will probably be on the Foothills Trail.